Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Dylan. If you're new here, I am a trans man about a year and a half on testosterone. And if you're not new here, I'll cut my hair eventually, don't worry about it. I like to use this channel to talk about things I'm learning about gender, about transness, as well as manhood. I can't help but notice, from my perspective, how ingrained gender is in the way we interact with each other. And through my transition, I've been able to sort of test firsthand a lot of assumptions we have about gender. One of the most intensely gendered subjects is the way we express emotion. There's a rumor going around that testosterone HRT makes you an angrier and more aggressive person. It's one of the most common questions for people who are considering starting T. For many people, this is not the case, and if you're looking for reassurance that it won't happen to you, you can find it, but I'm sorry. The truth is, I did get more aggressive when I started testosterone. A lot of it has to do with what dose you're taking, and I did level out and become the chill dude you see before you after about 4 or 5 months, but for that short time, my body struggled to adjust to the hormones, and it made me act like a cranky teenager. I would get angry more often, and less intense emotions like frustrated or upset looked and felt more like anger. I would get destructive urges. If I got too heated, I suddenly would rather break something than cry. This terrified me. At its worst, I felt like I was turning into a monster, even though I never came close to hurting anyone. I have leveled out since then, but I'm still a regular person with an anxiety disorder. I'm a very emotional person, and I still get upset. And when I do get angry, I don't want to scream into a pillow anymore. I want to punch a wall. Changing the way I express my emotions has also changed the way that people around me interpret and react to them. When I was perceived as a girl, people would ask me what I was angry about and either try to solve the problem or make me feel better. But when I'm perceived as a boy, people keep their distance. Wait it out, he'll go back to normal soon, but until then, do not engage. So now, in my early 20s, I have learned something most boys learn when they're preteens. My anger is dangerous. Now let's talk about women. It wasn't a shock to me that male anger is dangerous. I didn't come out until I turned 23, which is more than enough time to learn that fear. I was never abused by a man, but so many of the women in my life were. I still flinch when I hear a man raise his voice because I know what kind of chaos can follow. But the first time I got angry in front of a female friend who had only known me as Dylan, and she went completely cold and silent, I recognized it immediately, and it broke my heart. It had never occurred to me that I might be dangerous. I don't think I'm intimidating at all. I'm very small. I have really bad anxiety, and I broke my wrist trying to throw a punch one time. But all it takes is one slammed door, and I am an active hazard. This fear of angry men is widely discussed in feminist spaces, and it's considered to be almost a survival instinct. It appears in people who have suffered abuse as well as those who haven't, but have heard the statistics. That flight or freeze instinct will protect you in a dangerous situation, but since anger is volatile and unpredictable by nature, there is no way to tell an angry man who will hurt you from one who won't. Even the gentlest and least violent man in the world will still get angry sometimes, and this can be difficult for women in committed relationships with men to deal with.
He has never hurt me. I truly believe all the way down that he won't ever hurt me. My husband has never raised anything other than his voice in my presence. Furthermore, when he does get angry, it's almost never at me. Yet I'm usually the only one there, and I feel it almost as a physical sensation. He knows this, of course, and so he tries very hard not to let his anger out, to be gentle and considerate of me. He feels terrible when his anger causes me to cringe and flee. But that just puts him in a no-win position where he's not allowed to express or even have emotions, where he has to stuff himself, never vent his frustrations. And then on top of that, if he does slip and let himself feel something, he then has to take care of me, all scared and anxious because he got angry.
So boys, it's important to note here that if a woman freezes up when you get angry, you are not being judged as one of the bad ones. It can really really hurt to know that she can be that afraid of you if you haven't done anything. But it's not about you, and it's not about her either. It's cultural baggage that is impossible to let go of until patriarchy is no longer in the cultural memory, God willing. It's the best they can do on their own to de-escalate the situation. But I'm letting my anger out because I need to vent some kind of tension or frustration or general malaise. I want someone to listen to me and say, it sucks that that happened, or you're right to be angry, or even you're getting too worked up about this. But I quickly learned that I couldn't expect that kind of dialogue with women anymore. I'm angry because I have a problem, but by being angry about it, I have created a new problem that neither of us can fix. So I tried the male support system. I spoke to the men in my life about this, to my boyfriend, to my father, in progressive-aligned men's spaces online, about how expressing my emotions was isolating me and making me feel like a time bomb. And over again, I got the same answer. If you can't be angry in public, don't be. Keep it inside yourself until you're alone and you can't hurt anybody, and get some catharsis by slamming a door or breaking a stack of pencils or jacking off. This is a conversation a father is supposed to have with his son when he starts having hormonal outbursts, to teach him to know his own volatility and assume responsibility for keeping his own emotions under control. The answer is always to destroy something. It reminds me of kenneling a big dog that's getting aggressive. You love your dog, and he loves you, but if he ever got the impulse to hurt you, or even just got a little too out of control, the safest thing for the owner might be to lock him in a kennel with a bone or a rope he's allowed to eviscerate with his teeth, and wait until he's calm enough to be let out. But dogs are smart, and they know this is a punishment, and it's only a matter of time before he lets you know he doesn't want to be in the cage anymore. He can't open it himself, and when he whines, he's asking for your help. It's up to you when it's safe to let the dog out of the kennel. Until then, you have to ignore him or risk further provocation. I think it's fair to say that anger and how we deal with it is a core part of the male experience. When you assign stoicism and confidence to an entire gender culture, any kind of vulnerable emotion such as anxiety, shame, or grief must be buried. But an exception is made for anger. And as much as it can be vindictive, unstable, and needlessly destructive, men are also taught that their anger can be righteous, funny, or a sign of passion and conviction. Young men are taught that an outlet for their rage is absolutely crucial, not just for their emotional health, but for the sake of public safety. This is why it's so easy to radicalize young men. A group of men all angry about the same thing becomes a frothing vortex of endlessly escalating rage. But on an individual level, bottling up intense emotions only works for so long. It ferments in your body until it becomes vinegar, and a feeling that started as stress or depression will pop the cork and explode out in an incomprehensible flurry of slamming cabinets and goddammits. It's a cry for help that doesn't get heard because the signal has been so scrambled that even the person doing the crying might not be able to articulate what it is they're crying about. Or worse, they consider it a weakness to make their burdens the responsibility of anyone else. Maybe you really are just frustrated, or maybe you really are reaching a breaking point in neglecting to process trauma. But the problem with the bottle is all those feelings blend together and come out smelling the same. Nobody likes the smell, but what are you supposed to do? This shitty bottle won't stay closed. I've been thinking about this for months and months and months, and I knew I was going to make a video on this topic, but essays need conclusions. And when you're writing about a problem, the natural conclusion is the solution. Of course, I am just a 24-year-old college dropout with a DSLR, so I'm not going to be able to present a solution to the patriarchy. But if you're experiencing the same isolation from your emotions being read as dangerous that I was, I do have some advice. You have to open the bottle on purpose. This is something you can do that the dog can't do. I had to practice identifying, analyzing, and describing my feelings while I was having them. As soon as I notice I'm getting aggressive or being rude and lashing out, I stop and ask myself why I'm acting like this. I've been on testosterone long enough to know that bitchiness can mean literally almost anything. I'm not going to give you a one-size-fits-all script for these situations because that would seem really trite if you were already angry, but here are 3 things I think are important to communicate. An apology, what the problem is, and if the other person seems uncomfortable, especially, what you're going to do next. Like, oh, sorry, I hurt myself at work the other day and I'm still really sore. I probably just need to take an ibuprofen. Sorry, I've got a lot on my plate and it's kind of too much right now. I just want to be alone for a while. The apology is just polite. Describing what the problem is will open the door for the other person to help you with your problem, or at least make a guess at how serious the issue might be. And saying what you're going to do next dulls the edge of whatever unpredictable behavior you're showing. If you're going to have a danger sign on you, you might as well write what it says. We have to express our emotions just as much as we have to feel them. Emotional awareness is an absolutely vital part of being a member of a social species, and one we can't forget going into the 2020s with Twitter giving us something new to be upset about every 4 hours. God knows I have wanted to scream, "Stop looking at me like that. I'm not going to hurt you. Don't you trust me?" But that's not emotional awareness. It's just bringing more pain on yourself. We would all like to feel bad less of the time, right? These gendered emotional rules don't only apply to men. For women, especially trans women, for example, anger may be the very emotion they feel they aren't allowed to express. The thing about feelings is they don't care about facts, and you can't manage them with logic alone. The full spectrum of emotion is available to any person, regardless of gender. A sudden spike in testosterone made me cranky and unpredictable, but it didn't turn me into a violent man, because men are not inherently violent. Unfortunately, our movies and politicians want us to think that we are, so we have to learn the true nature of our emotions on our own. And that's why we should all go to therapy. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, it's me from the future. Or, well, I guess it's still the past for you guys, but it's the future for that guy. I'm gonna go ahead and bring the beer back. So, that was where I originally planned to end this video. That was before everything changed. But I still wanted to post it because I think this issue might be coming up for some of you as we spend more and more time self-isolating. It's hard to be around the same people all the time, no matter how much you love them, especially during a time of high stress like this. I think it's a normal reaction to get antsy, restless, irritable, frustrated, even angry. But the fact remains that it's not, forgive me, a productive reaction. It will make other people in your household uncomfortable, which will make your house a more uncomfortable place to be, and the cycle continues. It's more important than ever to over-communicate your emotions with the people you love and the people you find yourself living with. I've already found myself trying to push down negative feelings because I didn't want to add toxicity to my environment, but we have to resist the urge to do that. Nobody knows how long we're all going to be locked up together and there aren't as many distractions as usual. Listen, everyone is scared right now, and we can't always control our fear response. That's okay. It's okay if the cabin fever is starting to set in and you're starting to feel like you're losing it. It really is okay. Try your best to practice this and be aware of your feelings, how they're affecting you, and how they're affecting the people around you. This is part of what it means to come together in a crisis. So thank you for watching. Welcome to Season 2. I'm glad to be back. A lot has changed for me since you last saw me. Like, I built a new computer and I can edit much faster. If you've been following me for a while, you know I've been trying to get a hysterectomy, and I actually was able to get a surgery date for that. And I'm still trying to move forward with it. So if you shared or donated to my GoFundMe last year, thank you very, very much. I could not have done it without you, and it is much appreciated. My date was supposed to be April 24th, and the county that my hospital is in as of recording has still had 0 confirmed cases of the virus, so fingers crossed that doesn't get postponed for me. And I also got furloughed from my job at the movie theater with no pay, so I guess I do this full time now. So I'd like to extend a very, very special thank you to my supporters on Patreon who have continued to support me monthly even through this last hiatus that I took. Your support means I can still get the medication I need, so thank you. Extra special thanks to my $5 patrons, whose names I'm going to read off right now. Special thanks go to AA Ron Fushi, Avon, Crammed Voice Lessons, Dr. Crackshoe, Fiona Wallace, Gaius Gallus, Hemophilius, Isabella Lamar, Issy Ivans, Jack C., Jack Jacobs, Jackie B., Jawala, Jay Miley, Jane the Human, Jesper the Danish Man, Landry, Len Schweizer, Morn Dogs, Proton Donor, Quinn Hart, Sorry, Stuntman, and Theodore Cruz for pledging $5 a month or more. Thank you very, very much. If you want to see my videos and scripts early, sometimes get behind the scenes content, get occasional horoscopes from my Discord server, or just kind of feel sorry for me, you can pitch in at patreon.com/boyform. Thank you for sticking to the end. I'll be back soon. See you next time.